Welcome to a very exciting part of life on the hulls. Polishing. That's something, it's just a necessary evil and it has to be done. So I've got about 42 feet of it, probably even more given the contours and the shapes of the deck mould here. I've given this 2 sprays of gel coat. Now I didn't use flow coat, normally I'd use flow coat, but because I wanted to put multiple layers on, and then I've used or a credit card or a screed just to top up any low spots. And there's no Q-cell mixed in here. I tried to ferret as much as possible before I started, but now it's time to start wet sanding this back to match the surrounding level, and that's going to start at around about 400 grit. I don't want to start any higher than that because I don't want to etch into the surface around it, but then I'll take it round about back to 1200 before I start to polish with a cutting compound, and then finally to my waxes on my sealer coat. So I'm going to basically start to wet sand this now and do it by hand to start with, because I don't want to use a machine at this stage because it might be just too aggressive. So we'll get into that now. Alright, what started off quite rough and sort of, I guess you'd call it orange peelish here, I ended up getting my machine with a 40 grit and just wet sanded this, and then I've gone to 180 and then 400, and you know, I'm starting to achieve the sort of finish that I'm after. I've got a couple of tiny little pinholes here, but you know, because I've got so much gel coat down here, I'm able to keep going until I've got virtually no material, as you can see by the streaks. The reason why I did a couple of different colours was, firstly, I had the colours in stock, but also it gives me the opportunity to tell me how far I'm going down. Right here I still have a raised edge here, but that'll be dealt with at around about 400 grit, and then 600 will totally take it off. So right now I'd even call that good enough, but I'm going to go through to 1200 grit, and you know, there's a couple of little spots here that are a little bit porous, so I'm going to keep working on it and just keep bringing it down. I've spent around about an hour with the machine and then by hand with a block and a wet sand here, and that's almost to the point that I'd call good enough to come back and do a final polish, you know, another 20 minutes or so, and that'll do that. So it is indeed a slow process, but quite cathartic, and I'm just, you know, taking it down little by little, which is giving me the opportunity to really feel for any flat spots, any low spots, any high spots that need to be dealt with. I've got a couple of little high spots along just here where I can just feel a ridge, and right there it disappears. So yeah, it just takes a little bit of time, and you sort of let your fingers do the walking, because you can't see these low spots, but you can certainly feel anything that feels a little bit untoward. You know, like right here I've got another quite significant flat spot, rose spot. I'll just take it down a little bit by a little bit. I don't have to come and gel this again. That would be counterproductive. It's feeling amazing, to be honest. Smooth as. And that's the beauty of spraying. You don't end up with too much material. You don't have to knock back too much to get to this sort of result. Now, if you're trying to match colour, which I'm not in this case, but if I was doing the deck of a boat, I'd certainly buy the closest white that I could find to fare back, and then fare it back to an area that's sort of where there's a transition, i.e. any slip or you know, a curve in the hull where you're not going to see the slight, very, very slight colour differences. You can see here where I've got, you know, I had quite a large thing, but you can't even feel that transition there now. It's quite good. Spend a bit too much time here. This is about my 5th hour laying on my hip, and I reckon I've got about 40 to go. So onwards and upwards. So I'm on the windscreen here. This is the main windows of the cabin, and this is the gap in the middle, and it's already starting to show good signs of progress, getting it nice and flat, and yeah, I don't think we'll even see it. I might have to do a little bit of polishing on the end deck, but you know, it's not going to be any problem at all after the amount of polishing I'm doing here. But the less I do then, the better. So the more I do now, the better my result. So although I'm using some really fine sandpapers and wet and dry every now and then, it still need to bring out the sander just to take the tops off. The gel coat's quite lumpy because it's not self-leveling, and the result of that is that you end up with something that you do need to bear back to a smooth finish. I'm down to 400 grit along there, wet and dry, so that area there is ready to go through my polishes. That'll only take 20-30 minutes to finish each section, but these sections right to the bows, at least another day's work just to get that to the point that I've got this done in the last 5 hours. So it's been a bit of an effort. Nine hours I've been laying here, hand sanding this bloody gash down the guts of this boat. Up in the bow section here, up on the anchor chase, the chain chase, and the and where the bow roll is going to mount, I've actually had to hand shape that with sandpaper because it was a bit of a disaster area. And I'm now at about 2 hours of just hand sanding this thing, and I've got it smooth and it looks pretty good. Even though it's going to get covered with a bow roller, but aching over it, absolute mess. But that slot now is essentially as smooth as a baby's bum, so I'm pretty happy about it. This has been faired out 3 or 4 times. I've faired it and then I've sprayed it twice, obviously with orange and then red. You can see here the benefits of doing 2 different colours. You can actually see when you're getting down to your colours and essentially you're getting your levels really nicely faired in. It's beautiful, and tomorrow I'm going to come in and go through my papers 800, 1200, and then start to buff it out, and hopefully that'll be it for the repair of the slot. It's been going on, it's been a bit tedious for me. I don't know how you guys feel, but bloody hell, I'm over it. This day is not getting any shorter. It's 7 p.m. I've been here since 8-ish. Hand polishing. I'm working on the surrounds of the new anchor box hatch that I put in, and these are a little bit challenging because what I don't want to do, I want to get it polished smooth, but I don't want to lose the height, because the height of the smooth here is actually quite marked, and it's going to end up being flush with my anti-slip. It'll still look good. I've just got to watch I don't take off too much height, so I'm going to leave that margin there just so I get a defined line between my anti-slip and the smooth. But by the same token, I still have to get it smooth, so I've got to work my way away from the actual edge margin there, and I'm just slowly polishing with 400 grit wet and dry here just to get it smooth. I don't want to be taking too much material away, but by the same token I've got to get it smooth. So I cannot get comfortable. I've been like this for 9 hours straight, but this is what it's going to take to get it right. I'm under the pump. I've only got exactly 9 days, which might sound like a lot, but when you're doing stuff like this, I've spent a whole day just polishing a strip 6 inches wide, so I have the entire deck to polish, plus the window mullions to put in, plus I've got to get the gun serviced, order materials and the works, and get really well set up out the back there with a deck, or basically a workshop in the back there, to make sure that I'm ready to go. Lots on my mind at the moment, and this is the sort of cathartic work that you sort of enjoy when you got a lot on your mind. The problem is you can't do anything else, but the detail, and there's so much detail here. I've spent a lot of time making sure that this is all right, and I'm feeling that it's friggin' rough as guts. So yeah, still got a bit to do. So great to have something new to attack, and this certainly is going to be new and very old very quickly. I'm done being on my knees, done being on my hips. Now, started thinking about how I'm going to inset my windows, and I've been fishing around up in the factory and looking for templates, anything for my windows. Now, they've already got a self-adhesive contact on the windows showing me where the windows are, but there's also some templates up there for some recessed mounts, and so I've brought them down here and I've put them in place. I'm missing one. I think it might be buried under a whole heap of templates there, but check these out. These are large 12mm MDF panels that were once used in the production of this boat. You can see here, these are the templates I've got. They're as ugly as sin, but they've got a really interesting way that they've made them to shape to the actual to the form of the deck, or the coach, or the coach house, or the salon, I guess you'd call it. And they've been curved, so they've actually been curved on the inward side, and there's multiple slits, and then they've been filled and then put in position, and they get physically bolted to the deck, so bolted through, and then there'll be a plasticine radius all the way round the outside, and then I'll be able to lay up over the top of it. I won't even have to lay the whole thing up. I'll probably only lay up this much, but essentially they will be then unscrewed and unbolted before demolding, and they'll come out with the actual boat itself, or with the deck, and then faster to be removed. But yeah, you can see how the window profiles are going to be shaped now. Otherwise it's going to be a flush window with my polycarbonate windows actually sitting outside of the deck if I don't do this. I want to do this. I want it to be slimline. I want it to be sleek, and I don't want any excess areas to catch it, to catch the any sort of grub and muck that may get caught on the outside of the windows. There's nothing worse than having windows stuck on the outside of the gel coat. So by insetting them, I'm going to eliminate a lot of problems and make them a lot easier to seal. There's been a bit of laying down on the job here. It's been 2 days of laying on my side here, but I'm up to 1200 grit, and that's a pretty positive thing. I'm starting to work my way up towards the bow here to get it all sanded back, but 1200 is basically a very, very fine grit, and it's already at 800 here, so I'm not going to bother with 1000, and still a little bit of detergent. And just get into it. Oh, I've officially finished polishing the slot. That's been a bloody effort. I know you guys have to endure it, but Jesus, I've spent nearly 2 weeks on my side hip, repairing, fairing, grinding, sanding, slotting, repairing, glassing underneath. It's been a massive effort, but it's now done. You can see up here, nice and smooth where that centre slot's going to be. And now what I'm going to do, I've just emptied all the shit out of here because I had a lot of stuff in here. It's all in a bloody trolley up at the factory there. I've emptied everything out of here with the exception of a tripod, and I'm going to give it a pressure wash. Janet and I are going to come in here tomorrow with a scrubbing brush and start scrubbing the anti-slip with some methylated spirits to try to get all the loose grit, anything that might affect the release of the anti-slip. I found last time when it actually came off the hull, there's anti-slip on the bottom of the hull, it actually lifted really easily. So I'm just going to give this whole thing a good pressure wash with my gurney, my Karcher, and get it all clean, and then come in tomorrow and I can scrub it when it's a bit drier. The only problem is now I don't have any holes in the place. This is going to be a swimming pool, so I've got a wet vac there, a shop vac that will suck water up. I'm hoping to suck that all out, and I can leave it dry, let it dry overnight. Tomorrow we're expecting 100 mils of rain, so it's not really going to matter if it gets wet in here. It's going to get wet anyway. So, but if I can get this clean now, I can get back to basics, and then I can get moving on the final clean, final polish. 1200 grit on all the smooth surfaces, and a solid 2 or 3 buffs on the anti-slip and all the other surfaces with the machine. Then sealer glaze, then around about 3 coats of TR release wax, all done by hand. So can't wait, cannot wait for that. Well, that's it, 2 hours of pressure washing, and mate, she's clean as a whistle. I hope to God the time-lapse camera got the fall, because I was sitting up there, I was standing up there with my Crocs. I got absolutely no tread on them. Yeah, I've given it a good clean. I think, once I start buffing this, it's going to come up like magic. It looks absolutely amazing compared to how it did. Once it dries, time will tell. We'll have to have a look. I've recruited some help.
That work, yeah.
What day is this?
It's Saturday. It's my weekend.
Janet's weekend off. What are we doing?
Buffing?
Polishing. Yeah, we're 1200 gritting the entire surface of this mould, as it's got a bit of grit on it, and we're pretty happy with this finish, but it's going to be a little bit of an effort to get it all done. And Janet's job today is to do the smooth surfaces. They're a little bit gritty, so just oxidising over the last few years. But she's got her earbuds in, she's ready to work, she doesn't have to listen to me.
Yeah, I've just turned it off so I can hear you, but I'll turn it back up in a second.
Get to work, stop playing with your earbuds. Not going to build itself. We've got Lexi, the mould dog. What do you reckon? Hey? Say woof. Hey? Say woof. Pretty happy, aren't you? Saturdays with Dad. Put a rubber glove on before you do that. Don't so.
Let me get... You don't wear them, rubber gloves.
You should though.
You don't wear them, but I should.
Yeah, but I've got tough hands, you haven't.
You don't wear them. That's interesting.
Well, you should wear one.
Well, so should you.
Yeah, but I'm working with the stuff every day. So it's probably worse, actually.
No point in me sailing around the world without you.
Sure you'd find someone? You needed someone? Doing a good job, honey. Doing a good job, honey. How's the knees?
Yeah, good.
Is it cut into your knees?
They're cutting in the back.
Yeah, it cuts into the back of my legs. I can't wear them.
Actually, what they should do is probably drop it down a bit.
Well, the Velcro should be on the front.
Well, you could probably do this. So. Actually, that's so much better.
Yeah,
it
cuts into the back of my knee. That's perfect, darling, thanks. Don't be scared to go to the edge of the anti-slip.
Yeah, I was more worried about...
No, that's all right. You can go to the edge of the anti-slip, that rounded edge here.
And I'm quite enjoying myself.
It's a bit cathartic, isn't it?
Well, it's better than sitting in front of a computer sometimes. What about these bits?
Yeah, don't worry about that.
Anyway.
You're done, so you've done one side. Fantastic. Get on the other.
I haven't finished yet.
No?
I've still got this
Brilliant.
from here to here and then down the bottom
Fantastic.
here.
Don't forget all that bit. Don't forget all this bit around here.
Yeah, no. But if I don't look at it, I can't see it.
Don't forget all this bit. Don't forget all that over there. I have to move the dog when you get to her too.
Bit at a time.
Bit at a time, eh? Yeah.
And I'm not like you. You
like eating an elephant.
And get yourself down.
I'm not getting down. Don't say I get down. I never get down.
Say, oh, it's bloody hard work. I just do it a bit at a time.
I just grumble my way through it because I just want to get the frigging thing done.
That's it. Stop. grumbling. You got a piece of orange in your hair. No point in grumbling. Doesn't get the job done.
That's a good attitude, honey. Keep that attitude. That's where I fell over last night when I was pressure washing the mould. I landed there and slid all the way down to there. In my slippery Crocs. They'll teach me one, it's wear Crocs.
Yeah. Well, you have to wear them with with the...
Yeah, I've got to have tread on them. Janet doesn't like Crocs.
I don't like them. It's just pointless wearing them if you haven't got a tread on them.
Well, we used to sell them, didn't we?
Yeah.
We used to sell a lot of them.
I don't like them because I used to have to price tag them all.
Yeah, you don't like them because you think they're ugly too.
No, I used to have to price tag them all.
Yeah, merchandising them was harder than actually selling them.
At night when the kids are at home.
Yeah, that's small business.
Yeah, no, I'm not whinging. I'm just observing. That's probably where my dislike comes from.
Yeah, I hated them. We never made any money on the bloody thing. That was the problem. Didn't make enough. It cost us $20 to merchandise, and then we make $5.
Nah.
Oh well.
They do right.
All right, get back to polishing. What's happening, Tom?
Ross is giving me instructions on how to use a camera.
We've got this DJI camera. It's a little bit complicated.
No, it's not.
And Janet and I just had a little bit of a fight.
No, we didn't. No, we didn't.
We had a really nice chat a minute ago. We thought we'd film it, but...
And then he said, let's not do this. Let's not have this conversation in front of a camera. And as soon as I turned it on, he decided to have that.
Feel that. Really? Given it was all like this, and that's perfect. So move that. Because that's wood, right?
Thanks. Well, I'm going to go make coffee.
Yeah, cup of coffee going.
Yeah. Why do I always end up making it? You always make it at home. Oh!
I didn't get that on film, Dad. You deserve to as well. You deserve to slip because you were hanging it on me.
I'm not tall enough. God help me if I was in
What 30 years of marriage does.
Stop it.
There's little vendettas that you can go to.
Oh, I'm going to turn it off.
So what I'm doing is I'm basically using 1200 grit. We've given it a good pressure wash and a clean. I'm just trying to do these radiuses. They're still a little bit dirty. There's a bit of build up dust on them. 1200 grit, it'll get it off, and then I'm just going to buff it out. All the flat spots I'm going to do with my little orbital sander, just with 1200 grit pads on them. So I'm trying to basically deal with any of the curves and the contours of the boat first, and then I'll come back and hit all the flat spots with the orbital and just get it all done. So we're at the point where we're really starting to clean now. We're ready for a wax. I've basically got one more section to repair up on the bow there where I did all that nose repair where it was snapped off. But that is going to take a good day to do. I'm better off getting on with all of this and then dealing with that at the very end, because it's a bit of an arduous task down here at the moment because it's so wet. But yeah, just a light hand sand. It's amazing the luster I can bring back to this mould surface just with a very even pressure. Wrong, honey?
You finished my water.
Oh, I did not.
You did?
You run out of water. Oh, the anti-slip's unreal. You just got to be careful. That smooth stuff is lethal. Alright, so what I'm doing here, and Janet's doing over the other side, we're doing all the curves, all these contours are just by hand, very lightly, giving them a good clean, and then all the flat faces I'm going to take off with the orbital with 1200 grit discs. So basically there's a lot of curves, a lot of contours down around this rear cabin engine room section. But yeah, we're getting there, aren't we, honey? Yeah.
All my help.
Yeah, oh, Janet's help. Lexi's not doing much help, are you, mate?
For one day of the mould.
One day, Janet shows, you show up every weekend nowadays because she wants it done, wants the job finished. So we were forecast to have an east coast low, and
in Sydney is flooding. The whole 1,000 k's up the coast is flooding at the moment, and we're in here in relative dry. I think relative dry is going to be a bit of a loose term because there's water pouring in here now. It's coming in through these gushers. Look at the road outside is flooding. Jesus, this is what we're expecting. We're supposed to have a good couple of 2 or 3 days of this. Janet's working hard up the end. This is just wild. Woo! The maelstrom. The tent's holding well, look. Not even moving in this wind. The animals are coming 2 by 2, honey. There's elephants walking up the street. There's snakes coming up. Noah's here. We've got the ark. We've just got to finish it.